you need to vet connections with women in friendships, in personal relationships, just like you are vetting a relationship with a man when you are dating for marriage, when you are dating for a long-term partnership and legacy. Okay? If you are like me and you have had a beautifully intimate relationship with your own mother or the woman or women who raised you, but you have had challenges to build long-lasting, depth-filled, intimate connections with other women, you probably have all or some of these astrology placements that we are going to talk about and get a little more insight into here with the tarot and the oracle and my channeling, but you probably have these in your birth chart. And they are, by the way, revealing to you, along with the particular few houses and one especially planetary placement that you can look into more of for yourself, your queen archetype, your unique queen archetype. And there's a video that I will put in the description box below where you can go and learn how to identify that in these particular placements and houses, your unique queen archetype in your birth chart in that video. But here we're going to talk specifically about these placements that you likely have as a woman who's a CEO. And it is highlighting here that you're just not meant to have a lot of friends. Okay. So I want to talk about a little bit of my experience, and that is that, because I'm sure you can relate, that I have had in the past, I had up until maybe a few months ago, actually, this false illusion. I'm calling it a false illusion because it is that there's something wrong with me, that it must be incorrect for me to desire these intimate connections with other feminine energies, other women, and that I don't want to settle. I'm not willing to settle for any surface level connection with these women. And the false illusion that I must be too much then, right, for these women. When it continues to be surface level, it only goes so far. There's not a space for or willingness for the depth, on both parts here. It's me wanting the depth and them not. And, or just not being willing. Maybe they want it, but they don't have the capacity and they're not willing to stretch their capacity, right? So it's also a false illusion that you have a wall up. So I have literally been told when I was, listening, tuning into this generic feminine energy advice from a feminine energy coach here on YouTube. And I received a comment when I asked, because she was talking about actually the mother wound and how if you struggle, to have to form friendships with other women that are, long lasting here, that you likely have had A, B, or C, or have that in your connection with your mother. And I did not relate because I have, since I was a teenager, specifically I was 17, 18 years old when it really locked in and got so deep, and beautiful, special, this connection that I had with my mom, as well as my sister. And I just did not relate to this. And something that allowed me to understand that was this false narrative, this false illusion that probably other women are experiencing as well, is not only the placements that, we're going to talk about that I have in my birth chart here, but that, I received this when I asked about, well, what would you say to this then, and sharing my personal experience, and how even though that's, been the challenge in these connections with other women, like there not being this depth even after maybe a year, right, of friendship. And that I don't want to settle for that there. That, this person replied, not her, the, teacher, but perhaps one of her students, another woman, responded to what I said, asking her, if she could maybe identify that then for me, like tell me about that, if she knew anything about that, my, unique scenario or situation. And this woman responded to me and said, well, you probably have a wall up. You probably have, this story about other women, especially if you were bullied when you were younger by other girls and this and that. And it was just very much like making it that something is wrong with me and I just didn't relate because I responded to that woman. And I said to her, actually, I don't relate. I have never allowed any of those hurts, in the past, even in romantic partnerships, or relationships or dating. I never let any of those disappointments put up this wall over around my heart. I never allowed those, fears that, oh, maybe this will happen again, to influence or direct the my desire and expressed desire and curiosity for connecting with other women. I just never let it happen because I knew that I just knew, I felt that I had this conviction that I meant to have these intimate connections, and I just never allowed that to stop me from being open to having that which I knew I was meant to experience. And what I did instead was reveal my unique queen archetype. I revealed the depth, the ancient codes and information in my birth chart as it pertained to the areas of my chart that, related to or showed me my relationships, my personal and professional relationships, but especially my personal ones. And I just, knew that I had to talk about this because I know that there are these other powerful women, confidently magnetic women, detached magnetic women who are still graceful. It's not about being, mean, right? It's just you are the CEO of your world and of your heart. And you vet your relationships. And maybe you have been doing that and wondering, is it wrong to? Maybe it feels bad. Maybe it feels like, or you've been wanting to, force having these connections. That's why I started with stop trying so hard, because many women, they'll continue to invest their time, invest their energy, into meeting up with girlfriends that it's very surface level connections. There's nothing that is of depth and fulfillment. It's not true intimacy here. And it's really for the clout, is what I can say, if you know that word, CLOUT, clout. And it's not genuine and authentic. It is very much, I don't want to be alone, or I'm afraid to be alone, um, you know, or a seeking of validation, perhaps even. Let's see what the cards say. That's what I'm getting. But, it's interesting how we'll remain in these kinds of friendships with other women. But when it comes to our dating life, when it comes to men, we're like, I need to vet, I need to have discernment and discretion and not play small or play it safe and take any sort of red flags, you know what I mean? but you'll continue to hang out with, women for the sake of hanging out with women that are at it's that same thing, the surface level, and it's giving red flags, right? um it's very interesting. So that's a false illusion, as well as the idea that there's something wrong with you for wanting those intimate connections with these women, all right, and not settling for the surface level. So the revealing of your queen archetype, and particularly these placements here, it's going to lead to this activation of your discretion, of your discernment, and gracefully, by the way, you will be confidently detached, and magnetically detached. um, and you will magnetize the right connections, the aligned connections in terms of friendship, with other women as well here. And you won't force it. You will feel really good, being by yourself, or just you and your man, or lots of time at home, or with your dog or your cat, or out in nature, just by yourself. That will be the case. And these placements, actually, it's so funny. We have 2 5s here, and one of them is definitely your 5th house. So your 5th house placement, it's your essence. It's really revealing to you perhaps even who you were as a child. And it's your joy, okay, is found there in that house. It's your joy expressed, as the sign that's in that house, the archetype that's there, the way you're meant to express it, and how you must honor it, okay? So that 5th house is going to be the first placement here. And your 6th house is the next one, because the 6th house is all about boundaries in personal connections and relationships. When, as it pertains to personal connections and relationships, as well as professional, but especially personal here, you're going to reveal the way in which you're meant to show up in those connections, and that is your boundary, right? That is your protection. That is your authentically detached, magnetic, energy that you're meant to embody in personal connections. And that's going to support you in your discretion and your discernment. It's like divine order here with the Hierophant. It's going to automatically ward off the conflicting, connections that they don't support who you are, your essence, your divinity here, right? So that 6th house placement acted out, embodied in its evolved expression here in your personal connections, is automatically going to make sure that divine order and law and that boundary is naturally occurring. That's keeping you protected from these 5 of Swords energies that are not for you. They keep you conflicted, confused in your mind, and they keep you pretending, they keep you doing things for the clout here, is what I'm getting. And the next placement is going to be obviously your 7th house. So 5, 6, 7 is especially here. I would even go so far as to say the 4th house as well, but we'll talk about the 7th first, since I just mentioned it. And it is that the 7th house is relationships, all right? It is all about personal relationships and partnerships. It is especially pertaining to, yes, your romantic life, the kind of husband, or partner that you are meant to have, those qualities and characteristics about them that you need to vet for, right? But it is also pertaining to, just close relationships. So the sign that you have there in that 7th house is going to reveal to you, like, the way in which you need to advocate for yourself, and the kind of characteristics, mannerisms, traits that you must value embodying and attracting, in those people who are in that you are in personal relationships with. Okay, so the next one, the fourth house here, is all about your home, your sanctuary, it is connected to your adolescence and the way in which, yes, the environment that you were raised in, but it is also connected here, I would say even more so, to your, yes, maternal lineage, the feminine energy actually on your mother's side. And it embodied in its most evolved expression. So, you as a woman, you as a feminine, this is what you need to require as it pertains to those connections, those environments, especially that you place yourself in. Um, that you say you call it. So, also, yes, where you live is a big one there, but it's also, the fourth house and home is also a representation of a reflection of you, your body, your temple, your vessel. And so it is the way in which you must acquire, I'm hearing, and require. Okay, so you have to be in that embodiment of that evolved, expression of that archetype, that sign there in the fourth house, as it pertains to how you attend to your vessel, your body, your physical environment and being, as well as those that you allow into that, right? As well as outside of you, where you place yourself, where you say yes to, accepting invitations to, being around, and that atmosphere that you are being within, right? When you say yes to that invitation to go to that thing, right? So those are the main placements, I would say. And then the one that is, well, I guess this is the fifth house, and this one I'm about to name are actually the main ones. But those ones are very important that I just named. Now, this last one here is going to be the 11th house. It's so funny. This came out on top with all these other cards, and it was too much. And now it's coming out by itself. So we have the 10 of Swords. And at the bottom of the deck, we have the Ace of Swords. And this is so connected to this house that I'm about to name, which is the 11th house. Okay, your 11th house reveals to you your community, your network here, the ones that you are meant to surround yourself with, actually. And it also reveals to you the gift, actually, that you bring, the characteristics of that sign that you have in that house reveal to you the gift that you bring into your personal connections, into your community, your network, that you bring to your audience as well. But especially here, we're talking about friendships and personal connections. That is what you bring and must require in terms of values, right? In those personal friendships with other women. So if you have, to give you an example, Capricorn in your 11th house here, then you need to really be vetting, because Capricorn is all about long term. It's the slow burn. It's like you're in it like all or nothing kind of friendships and connections. And that means too that you are very loyal then, right? If you have that archetype in your 11th house, you embody that. That's the value that you bring to that network, that community, those connections, those friendships. So you have to be especially discerning here, with grace, yes, but especially discerning and magnetically detached if you have Capricorn in that 11th house when it comes to your personal connections with women. Okay. Now, I was saying it's definitely connected to this 10 of Swords coming out, because what I'm getting here is like, you know this. With the Ace of Swords at the bottom of the deck, some of you do have Capricorn in that 11th house. And you know this, or you have another earth sign there. I'm even hearing, you know this. You know this. And you have clarity about it, but you, with the 10 of Swords, it's like you have allowed this kind of buildup of what you know is, it's kind of draining you. I'm getting it's confusing you, it's draining you. It's like, I'm just going to say it what I'm hearing it as, it's bad for you. And when you go home, I'm hearing, when you go back to your sanctuary, to your temple, from being in these environments, from being with these kind of particular people who are draining, who are conflicting, some of them I'm hearing like drama, talking about things that are just drama. It's just unnecessary energy here that's being spewed um, in this environment, in this setting, when you're with these people, and it's draining you. And I'm hearing like you're at your wits' end. So you need to go back and look at these placements for yourself and remind yourself who the F you are, the value that you bring to the connections, and really, especially like I said, if you have this earth sign placement there in that 11th house, especially Capricorn, you need to be very discerning and very specific. And I'm even hearing the word picky, particular, about, what invitations you say yes to. And you may even need to lay the law. I'm hearing lay the law down. Interesting. Which I think is a saying that means like you have to express here the truth, okay, about, you don't necessarily need to make it about them when you express this, but make it about you, because you have clarity about what you do need, actually, what does feel good and doesn't feel good in terms of these environments, in terms of these connections. And God, with the Hierophant, divine, the universe is signaling to you that you have to express yourself. Look at this. We have Judgment underneath the Ace of Swords. This is just affirming what I've stated, that you really need to discern. You do have to, it's like Judgment Day, I'm hearing. You have to use your good judgment and discernment and actively express it here with grace. It's with such grace. It doesn't mean that you have to be mean or that you have to say, well, I don't like this about you. It's just, this is what I value. And I don't think that we share that value. So I actually am going to have to take a step back from this connection until, that aligns, right? And that's how you come home to yourself. That's how you honor that fourth house placement here with the Four of Wands. This is all about home. And, being unified, I'm hearing, like within yourself with the Four of Wands. You really need to come back to celebrating, I'm hearing, the essence of who you are, the value that you bring to your personal connections, to these friendships, to other women's lives and experiences, and assess here with justice. We have justice. Are you alone in that? Look at this Five of Pentacles. I mean, there's the cards are telling the story, honey. Are you alone in that way that you show up, right? In your values and how you so loyally show up with them in these connections? Or is it reciprocated? Because I'm not seeing that it is. So I'm getting it to tell you again, like, to stop trying so hard to fit, right? To make things fit that just don't fit. And be honest with yourself and be honest with these women and these environments. Okay. Yeah. I'm getting this again. It's about this ruling, being the CEO of your world and your heart. And it is not just pertaining to your business and then your romantic partnership. It's pertaining also to personal relationships and connections in general. And you have to protect yourself with the Emperor here and be the boss and vet, that area of your life as well. It will lead to, reciprocated with the Six of Pentacles connections. It will be reciprocated. That value, that which you bring to these connections, you will receive it, in return, right? Is what I'm hearing. I'm hearing tenfold. I'm hearing tenfold. You will be matched, is what I'm hearing. The loyalness, the capacity that you have will be matched when you boss up like this and discern, and protect that which is so precious about the way you love. Okay. And it will feel so good with the Nine of Cups. It will bring, I'm hearing, wish fulfillment of that which you have been, maybe some of you, praying for, desiring, wanting to manifest as it pertains to your personal relationships, your friendships with other women, the kind of community and circle that you desire to have here. All right, you will have it, but it's like you have to take that first step. And again, go and look back at these placements that I've named, and I promise you it will tell you what you need to know. It will affirm that which you probably already know and maybe just haven't been able to fully describe and put words to until hearing this video, this message. And if you don't understand how to really decode the information that is there in these placements of your chart, then you can start with the Celestial Code Masterclass, which is also in the description box below, and dive even deeper into the whole chart and all of the planets and placements, and their archetypal energies and what they mean, and how they can be used by you in your unique experience in the Sisters of the Stars Ancient Archetypes and Astrological Principles course, which is a 12-week program. I mean, it's self-paced, but most people take 12 weeks to complete it. The 16 modules that are there for you in that course. So, yeah, it's like your cup will overflow with, I'm hearing. And we have the Ace of Cups underneath. When you decide to be the ruler of your heart as it pertains to friendships and connections with other women, and to not feel bad. It's like the Hermit here is, again, it's that Virgo and sixth house energy where you kind of are just audacious and unapologetic, about listening to your inner compass and wisdom that you have within you about how in which you're meant to show up and vet, these connections here, these environments, these invitations I'm hearing. So we're going to close out this message. I feel like I did get out what I needed to in terms of the placements, as well as with the tarot here affirming, of course, that which I was describing. So yeah, I'm just at this place in my journey, my experience, where God has really affirmed for me also, because I have, these placements. One that I named, was the earth sign in the 11th house. And not only do I have, that sign in that 11th house, but I have my Venus, my Mars, and my Neptune in that sign in that 11th house. It's Capricorn. So I literally am just at this point, and I'm also in my Saturn return, right? So I'm at this point where I really just have to trust my inner compass and how it's leading me when it comes to all types of relationships and endeavors and, environments and all of that is my life. And it's just such a flow. It's such a, again, I used this term before, detached magnetism. There's no forcing myself to magnetize, these friendships, these connections with the women, even though, yes, I pray about it and I desire it, right? But I just trust what God is doing through me. And I know that many of you, can relate. And you just need to know that you don't have to force. You can be detached and magnetic, I promise. And you can still be graceful, and kind, and caring when you go out into the world. Curious about people with this charisma that you express and exude and radiate. But you're not actively asking for, trying to pull in, these connections. All right. So yeah, look at that. I mean, affirming again. My inner compass knows the way. I can't make it up. And I love myself completely and unconditionally. Yeah. You'll just get so good at really being by yourself, loving yourself, even if you have a husband already, a partner already in a committed long-term relationship that you're building with here. You're going to get so good at this because, it's what magnetized to that person, that partner. It's you. It's your values and your qualities, right? That are magnetically detached and graceful and confident, right? And discerning here. And it is going to also make you be this leader, by example, to these other women, to women who maybe they're, watching, listening to you, but you don't even realize it. But continue as such is what I'm hearing to tell you. And we have, I am of the earth and in harmony with nature. I really am feeling this like, there's a lot of earth energy here. And so that's a big one. If you have your Venus as well as your Mars, your Neptune, in Capricorn or Taurus or Virgo, that's a huge one. Those are the earth signs. And like I said, those earth energies are really all about the slow burn in terms of relationships. It's about loyal relationships and connections that are for the long term here, because that's what you give and that's what you embody. You're very grounded. And if that is the case, then you really have to give, that especially to yourself and trust it. And trust also the magnetism that is naturally radiating off of you when you are in that energy here. Okay. So that is the placements that you can utilize here. Look into these areas of your chart and these particular placements, and maybe even where you have these earth signs in terms of the planets and the houses. And you will really especially identify here, if you're meant to have this smaller circle and why you may feel like you're not necessarily wanting to continue with trying so hard and having these connections with these women. And I pray and I know and I trust that this will allow you to feel so affirmed in that. So I will see you in the next message. Check out the resources that I named in the description box below. Hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you soon.